queer supporting characters are no longer the best friend. We are no longer the gay best friend trope, and it's glorious. But there are ways that we can make them better. My name is Bridget, and I am a queer writer and filmmaker from Canada, and I am here to help you write your queer stories. Today we are going to be looking at writing queer supporting characters in your queer story. So this means queer supporting characters in stories that also have a queer main character specifically. For this, we are still running with our allegory of this being a case file, and we are going to be treating our types of supporting characters as suspects. I know this makes it sound pretty intense, but it's okay. They're our friends. They're our little queer friends. So we have three different examples. I have three different examples sitting in front of me. We have Oliver from How to Get Away with Murder. We have Scorpia from Shira and the Princesses of Power, and Mr. Ajayi from Heartstopper. Now, these fall under three different types of queer supporting characters. Number one, we have the support, which is very accurate for the title of supporting character. We have the mentor, and we have the warning. All these types are crucial to help your queer main character, so let's dive into how you can choose which ones you want to include and how you can use them in your story. So the first one we are going to be looking at is the support. For this, we are going to be looking at Oliver from How to Get Away with Murder. Now, the support character is someone that supports your main character. This mainly takes the form of a love interest, but can also be a best friend. They kind of fall the closest to the gay best friend trope. In the case of Oliver, I wanted to use him as an example because he is a great example of a support character that has a lot of dimension and really strays away from the archetype of the support character not really having a lot to do. As we see in How to Get Away with Murder, we have Oliver actually becoming involved in the investigations. We have him being the hacker in the group, which is a lot of fun, but he is also really an advocate for his boyfriend, Connor, and their relationship goes through a lot of ups and downs. It is roller coaster central. And Oliver overall, I think, is an example of having a support character who doesn't become a doormat. Oliver does develop in his own character arc, and he also stands up for himself. He knows what is right for him. He knows that at certain points him and Connor's relationship is not healthy, and he vocalizes this because he wants what's best for Connor and he wants what's best for himself. When writing a support character, it is important to remember, especially when it's from a love interest or a friend, that their support should actually be conditional. And this, as I just said, comes into effect with Connor and Oliver because of toxic behavior or codependency that Connor starts to exhibit. And the breakups that they have over the series are justified because Oliver's self-respect is so high. He is not simply a doormat. He knows what he wants. And so having your support character not just be support for the main character is really crucial because it adds a layer of autonomy to your character. And I think that this is a problem that a lot of tokenism has fallen into, with the example of Kevin from Riverdale just being Betty's gay best friend. He never really has autonomy in the way of, if he gets to choose, that he is still Betty's friend. He is just there to check off a box and say, we have a gay character, we're done. And having your queer support character be autonomous, have their own decisions that they can make and their own values is really, really important. With queer relationships, it is common that they will move very fast. And so having this kind of autonomy, this kind of self-awareness is really important. And when looking at your support character, you can look into their coming out, their past with their identity, and research basically into how they see themselves and how the world sees them and all that, so that you know what their values are. All these things can tie into what kind of support they give your main character, how that plays into the relationship they have with the main character, and what situations they specifically can help them with, because not everyone can support your main character in the same way, and that is something that we need to remember. Now we are going to look at, I have 3 questions for the support character. When you are forming your support character, I want you to ask yourself these questions. Number 1, what views, biases, and baggage does your support character bring into the relationship/friendship? This can inform so much about the kind of advice, the kind of support that your support character brings. Number 2, how does their backstory impact the kind of support they give to the main character? This can have things to do with their identity and can have things to do with their family. We all have baggage. Let's say they didn't have a good relationship with their family. They're going to give different advice to someone who does have a good relationship with their family than any other person. So looking into their backstory can really help with the kind of support they will give. And number 3, what kind of relationships did your supporting character see growing up, and how has that influenced their approach to relationships? I feel like I just covered this. So yeah, look into what they saw growing up, what society messaged towards them, and yeah, have it influence how they talk to other people. Let's move on to suspect type number 2, which is the mentor. For this, we are going to look at Mr. Ajayi from Heartstopper. The mentor character is a really cool one in queer literature, and it's one that we've seen more of lately because queer stories have become more popular. And the fact that now we are seeing more queer people who are older being out is really great progress, and having characters who have been through what your main character is going through is really crucial to their journey. The mentor does take on the role of guidance. As the title suggests, they are the one that gives the main character a push in the right direction towards their lesson. All of these supporting characters are really like pushing your main character a little bit. They're just giving a little tap, just saying, go a little further, go a little bit more. And the mentor is really kind of showing your main character a few steps down the road. They're like, I've been there before. I've been on that path. How about you take this road instead? How about you go around that pothole and take a different way? Because I think it'll be better for you. So they have real lived experience with what your main character is going through. Mr. Ajayi is a pretty crucial character throughout Heartstopper, and his role is a safe space for Charlie. It is the fact that he is there as a queer person to show Charlie that there is safety in the school, especially when he was going through like a really hard time with bullying. It is so vital that queer characters have this safety. Throughout the series, we do see Mr. Ajayi have his own storyline with his romance with Mr. Farouk, and this can happen for mentor characters. It is not as common. I feel like it's slowly getting more common, but the fact that we have so few queer mentor characters, it's kind of tricky to find. I wanted to use Mr. Jai as an example because I think that his character is really special in queer media. So his portrayal is really to help Charlie feel comfortable, to help him feel safe. Mr. Jai is one of the first people that he tries to talk to about his eating disorder, and that is a true testament to how comfortable he feels around him. And the comfort overall that the actor who plays Mr. Jai in the show brings to the role is so like visceral. It feels like a teddy bear. I just want to hug Mr. Jai. He's so cute. And the feeling of that as a queer person is so real. When you're around people who have been through the same thing and you can see it down the line. I've seen, like, watching people on YouTube like Jamie Dodger. I'll leave his channel in the description. It was talking about seeing older trans men in media, seeing it, just them on TikTok, and being able to see that, to see what our lives look like in the future is so cool, because for so long we didn't have that image. We didn't have someone who had our experience that much older than us, because we weren't societally accepted to that degree. So yes, we love seeing older queer people in media. When it comes to shaping your mentor character, it's important to think about not just who they are, but also who will make your main character feel the most comfortable. What kind of demeanor do they have that will really take the armor off of your main character? What kind of support can your mentor character offer that your main character might never have felt before? The mentor character is really there as kind of like a silent observer. They're there if they're needed, but they're kind of in the background. They're saying, I'm here if you need help. They're the teacher that's like kind of hands off. They're like, I'll give you the worksheets, but you figure it out. I'm here if you need me. So finding out what kind of help your main character might need from the mentor is really, really cool, really important when crafting a mentor character. I would highly encourage having mentor queer characters, because I feel like it is the first step to having more older queer characters at the center of our stories. I feel like it's still kind of a hurdle, at least I've found, when writing, to have older queer characters at the center, because it is not seen a lot, and it does feel harder to visualize because we haven't seen it a lot. And so having a mentor character that's older is a nice stepping stone to do that. And so I encourage you to have a mentor character, and maybe it'll lead into writing a story where your characters are older than 30 and also queer. So let's look at the questions that you can ask about your mentor character. Number one, how does your mentor character help the main character move forward in their journey? What kind of advice can they give from their own experience? Number two, are the main character and the mentor of similar demographics or quite different? This can show a lot about your main character's openness to learn. Now, yes, this could be like difference in orientation, it could be difference in gender, it could be a difference in anything. It is simply, who is your main character willing to learn from, and what kind of person will help them open up? Now let's move on to our last suspect type, and that is the fool. I got the name wrong in the beginning. I apologize. We are not doing the warning, we are doing the fool. I was not calling Scorpia a warning. For number three, for the fool, we are using Force Captain Scorpia from She-Ra and the Princess of Power. Now this type of queer character is packed with history, because Often, queer characters were used as comedic relief. Even when it wasn't overtly said that they were queer, it was highly implied through the characters being flamboyant if they were men and uber masculine if they were women. And so having the fool in your story brings a certain amount of comedy, but can also can say a lot about your main character and this supporting character's situation. We have, for the most part, moved away from the sissy stereotype or the gay best friend stereotype, but there are still comedic characters, and I don't think we really need to like completely get them out of here, because queer people are allowed to be funny. We're allowed to have fun. We're allowed to be silly. And in Scorpia's case, we're allowed to just be a little like a teddy bear and just, yes, she's so sweet, and I love Scorpia. In the case of Scorpia, we have her being very open with her emotions. Her comedy is really used to contrast Catra, one of the main characters, and her very gritty and aggressive communication style. Scorpia is very open, she's very bubbly, and has great affection for Catra. And her being classified as the fool is mainly because her antics throughout the series are very silly. They are very goofy, and her intelligence is not really used a lot. She doesn't seem to have like a lot of like practical intelligence. She's more so like just wants to be included. She wants people. She wants to be around people and be accepted by people. And this goes back to her backstory of being a princess. She was the princess that the Horde took captive, basically. And her family is pretty much gone, and she just wants a family back. That's her whole goal. She just wants acceptance. Scorpia's presence really does help propel Catra's character arc. Specifically, it doesn't necessarily help Adora, the other main character's character arc, but her presence helps Catra move forward ever so slowly and towards where she needs to be. She also provides this presence of when Catra is at a very low point, when everything is going terrible, we know that it's gotten so bad, Scorpia basically snaps. Like, not in an overt way, but she tells Catra that she's a bad friend. And that is pretty much the highest insult, the lowest insult that you could get from Scorpia. Like, she is so forgiving, she loves Catra so much, and yet she is like, I can't do this anymore. And giving your fool character this kind of depth, giving her this kind of value, and the progression of Scorpia really brings her from this character that has such blind faith in Catra and has so much blind love for her into having this experience of meeting Entrapta, another character, and learning about what Catra's doing, and then forming her own opinions about this. This character arc doesn't necessarily take away from her comedic aspect, and yet it gives her more to do. It gives her more agency and autonomy throughout the story. Autonomy is so important, you guys. It's so important for your characters. Even when they're like comedic relief like Scorpia, they need autonomy. They need to be able to stand up for themselves when push comes to shove. Your comedic character, like Scorpia, doesn't need to be in your story just to make jokes. Comedic characters do lighten the mood, so I would encourage, if you have like a really dark story, if you want it to be a bit lighter, then bring in someone like Scorpia, who's really like light and fluffy. Maybe not to the same degree, because She-Ra is already kind of bubbly, so it kind of fits. I think when you bring in a too comedic character into like a really dark story, it can feel very jarring, and they might feel like really out of place. But I would encourage you to think about bringing in a fool character, because they are a fun way to explore the worldviews of all of your characters, explore their mentalities, because even when Scorpia has everything taken away from her, she is still a positive person. It is still possible to be a positive person in trying times. Who knew? And so, yes, I encourage you to bring in comedic characters to bring some light into your story and just have some fun. I think comedic characters are really fun. They're kind of tricky to write, but they're a lot of fun. So let's look at the questions that we can ask when forming a comedic character, aka the fool character. For this, I have 2 questions. Question 1, does your comedic character help your main character on their journey? Or how do they do that? I think it's more important to ask, how do they help them on their journey? Because they should. Every character should help your main character do something. Number 2, what kind of comedy are they providing to the audience in their portrayal? This can be slapstick, it can be self-deprecating, it can be just like goofy in the way of Scorpia. There's a lot of options. Now that we've covered all 3 of our examples, let's do a little recap. Number 1, we have the support. This character supports your main character. And they are there for your main character in an emotional sense. They help them move forward in their lesson, and at the same time, they have autonomy and can push back when your character goes too far, as all of them do. Number 2, the mentor. This character is here to support, again, your main character and be more of a teacher, to give them the support when they need it, to give them advice. And yes, they're more so an advice giver than simply a support giver like the support type. The mentor is here when your character needs them and often does not push your main character when they think they need help. And lastly, we have the fool. The fool is a comedic relief character, but also are allowed to have autonomy. They are allowed to stand up for themselves, but also bring a certain amount of light to your story. Those are all of our suspects. Let me know down in the comments if you have any other suspect types that you want to bring into the interrogation room. And yes, I think all of these supporting characters are really cool opportunities to look into queer identity and the queer experience. So let's get writing. And yeah, let me know if you guys also have any supporting characters that you are working on. And go off and be the prism for a new rainbow. I will catch you guys next week with another video. Bye.